Welcome everybody. I'm Salvatore Vitale. I'm an artist, publisher, and educator based in Zurich, Switzerland. And I'm very happy to be part of this edition of the RAY Triennale. And I cannot wait to be in Frankfurt for the festival in September. The trigger of my photographic work is, I would say, it's often or always very personal. So I really start from very personal reasons that then they don't necessarily lead to a personal approach to my photographic work. But definitely I really need to feel an urgency to talk about one or the other topic, although my approach is very analytical, very research-based to some extent. And so it kind of develops in that direction, but still the personal motivations are very strong in everything that I do. And this is the case also for How to Secure a Country, that is the body of work presented at RAY, at the Deutsche Börse Foundation. A body of work that definitely is touching on so many aspects of security and going deeper into a security system or the functioning of a security system. And so definitely intersects what is art, photography, science, social science, and data analysis. But at the same time, it really starts from a very personal need that is about defining who I am and my position in the country in which I live, but I'm not originally from. Because I'm from Italy, I moved to Switzerland when I was 18, and the trigger of the project was the votation against massive immigration. So this referendum that happened in 2014 to limitate basically migration quotas in the country. And of course, this led me to question my position in the country, question the core of my identity as an immigrant in the country. And through a process of research that lasted for 6 years, I really understood that I really had to kind of focus on this issue of security, which of course uses Switzerland as a case study to speak about a global situation, so that it can define a global trend, but at the same time really wants to show the functioning of a system. And Switzerland in that case is a perfect case study because it's the so-called safest country in the world. But at the same time, the functioning of a security system is can have so many linking or common points depending on the political and social construct of a country. And to me, that was very interesting to really focusing, having this kind of insider perspective on the system. So gaining access, collaborating, I would say collaborating with the institution that produce security in the country, and to focus on something that is highly invisible and abstract, also because to function should be invisible and abstract. At the same time, is made very concrete by a series of mechanisms, procedure, bureaucracies that really make it strong, efficient, and visible and present. So for me, the main goal was to really go in deeper into the analysis of those procedures, for instance, and to show, to give a visibility to something that is affecting massively our everyday life, but stays elusive. So it's not really graspable. I don't feel the responsibility to change the world in a way, but I feel the responsibility to kind of deal with a certain level of complexity. And so my work, I really like to play in between this idea of mediation in a way, between complexity and this aim of providing different visions, different point of view on a subject. And so creating access points that are not necessarily part of a common narrative. So I really focus on narration, and I really focus on the way my work can speak to different type of audiences and through different layers of access. So there is, of course, the visual assets that allow you to enter the work in a certain way, but then it's up to you if you want to go deeper into it, if you want to perform further research. And so my work is, in that sense, is multi-layered and also is kind of non-linear, because I really like to work with mixed media. I don't work, I wouldn't consider myself like a pure photographer. I really like to experiment with formats, to experiment with medium, and then all together they give like a complete overview on the subject I'm exploring. And in that sense, then yes, the aim of my work is creating awareness. So if I need to phrase it in one sentence, it's really trying to help people to create a certain level of awareness on this or the other subject. Of course, I consider myself to be socially engaged. I'm interested in social issues. I'm interested in political system. I'm interested in technological mediation. And so these are all things that somehow touch upon uh, society and our way of constructing words. And the way we construct words is definitely subjective and it's definitely non-linear. And this is something that I really like to bring back into my work. I don't necessarily give a judgment or an open judgment. So my work is not an investigation. I really don't want to say this is bad, this is good, there is an exceed of security, or the system works pretty well. To me, it's very much like analysis. So kind of a very scientific in the sense, analysis, then I bring results, and then you as a viewer can make your own judgment of it. But indeed, I don't believe in objectivity. It's impossible to be objective. So definitely you can sense my point of view. But it's subtle. I call it subtle activism in a way. It's very subtle. So in that sense, I'm not promoting as well as I'm not condemning Swiss security or any institution that is part of the Swiss security complex. For me, it's more like presenting data, presenting facts, presenting an atmosphere. I'm creating an atmosphere because also my picture don't really show action, don't really show anything. Because for me, I'm still an artist, and being an artist means like interpreting, and interpreting doesn't necessarily lead to something that is definitely or specifically didascalic. I'm never interested in show. I'm not a photojournalist either, so I don't want to show you action. For me, it's more like the visual content is there in order to create an atmosphere, in order to create a mood where then you can position yourself. So it's very, I really ask my audience to collaborate with me in creating sense, in making sense of what I do. And for me, this participative way, let's say, to making sense of the world is something that really triggers me in keeping on creating works, basically. I'm afraid or I'm worried about the way as human beings we are kind of losing the track of the past, and we can't somehow make a real sense of the history in order to understand the present and the future. And this leads to all the problematics that we are witnessing, from racism uh, to any form of exploitation and human rights abuses, etc., etc. But I think that the core of it, to me personally, is very much the fact that we really lost the ability to be critique towards history. And so that's maybe what I would define the most dangerous ideology. I don't even know if we can call it ideology, but probably let's call it the trigger of many dangerous ideologies. My wishes for the future is also very hard to define. There are so many. Of course, I mean, my wishes for the future would be to get rid of any possible toxic ideology. I don't know. I don't know this will be possible. I don't know if it will ever be possible. And in this, I'm a little bit pessimistic, I would say. But for sure, for the future, I wish that there would be a little bit more of critical thinking, that we will, and when I say we, I mean humans in general. I really include everybody in the world, that we will really somehow invest in education more, invest in a better way to really face what are the contemporary and future issues that we're going to face. And if we look at the future right now with the perspective we have right now, it's not going to be a very good future. It's very clear. It's not me who is saying it, and I don't want to play as a very pessimistic thinker, but it's clear. We have been also warned about some of the things that are going to happen in the near future. So to me, the only way, what I wish for the future is very much trying to go back to ourselves, have a critical thinking, getting rid of some neoliberal and capitalistic ideologies, and invest in education. I think education is the key.